Hello, hello, Melanie here, and I'm back with another edition of Off the Mat. And today we are going to be talking about creating a rhythm for your life and how that starts with finding a routine. I think it's very appropriate that I'm wearing this shirt because it's September 2025 at the time when I'm filming this video. It's back to school season, and that for me always just signals a turn from the fun and the carefree nature of summer to the structure and sometimes rigid nature that the fall can bring. Now, for me personally, September is probably one of my least favorite months because, again, we're going from carefree summer fun to, the structure of September. And maybe, daylight saving has something to do with it, the transition from warm to cold weather, and just for me, in the past, fall has not always felt like the most fun time. For other people, for you watching this video, that may be very different. You may look forward to the changing in the colors of the leaves, the cooler, crisp nature of the air, going to the pumpkin patch, going to pick apples, college football, NFL. Yes, all of that's fun. Once I get past the initial shock and awe of, going from summer to autumn, yes, I can find joy. But I think the approach that I'm taking this year is just embracing the fact that now, for me, September means I can really get back into what makes me me, and that is my routine. One thing that I've noticed on social media recently is the rise in the popularity of routines. Everybody is posting their Sunday reset, their get ready with me for their morning routine, their get ready for me with their evening routine, they're closing down their apartment, they call it their close down session, they're 5 to 9 before their 9 to 5, they're 5 to 9 after their 9 to 5, you get what I mean, and I know you've probably seen them too. But I think there is beauty in this sort of trend because it embraces the beauty of a routine. Like I said at the beginning of the video, routines can often lead to a rhythm. For me, I like to have the framework, the structure, the function, because that makes me feel more at peace and allows beautiful things to flow in. So rather than thinking of routine as something that's rigid and you can't have fun and you have to do this every day and more of like a militant military idea, think of it as something that brings you peace, grounding, and ultimately joy and balance for your life. So how do we get started with creating a routine? I would say begin with what energizes you. What makes you excited? What makes you feel alive? What gives you energy? And begin there. So instead of thinking about what you should be doing, think about what makes you happy and let that be your jump off point. For me, I like getting up in the morning and having my cold glass of water, having my morning devotion, and taking my vitamins and supplements with my orange juice. Those are the things that I do every single day of the week, and if I don't do it, I feel off kilter. But when I do it, I feel grounded and balanced. So that's part of my morning routine and how I kick things off at the start of every day. The next thing I would say is prioritizing movement that you enjoy. I Moves with Melanie. I am of course going to encourage movement, but it doesn't mean you have to start the day off with 60 minutes of cardio, 30 minutes of weightlifting, and then go jog around the block before you even go to work. That's a little bit insane unless you're training for a marathon or some sort of competition. I don't think you need to do that. But it could be something as simple as a 10-minute stretch, a 15-minute yoga session, breathing, meditation. Take one of my videos just to kind of help you get your mind clear and right before you begin your day. The third part of helping you build a routine is building in those mental breaks. Get up from your computer while we still have the sunshine. Go stand outside, close your eyes, soak up your vitamin D. Take that walk around the block at the midday. Find a coworker or a friend or a family member to go with you and just get some fresh air. When the weather starts to turn and gets colder, if you have access to a walking pad or a treadmill, definitely encourage that. And the last thing I will say about it is to take the break from your social media, from the doom scrolling, get off your phone and give yourself, that mental break. Mental breaks are necessary because they're kind of like hitting the reset button. We spend a lot of time working on our tasks and our to-do list, and we often feel guilty for, wanting to take a break and not often getting everything done that we need to get done on the to-do list. I know for myself, I'm that way. But there's beauty in taking a step back taking a breath and hitting that reset button, finding that mental break. I think back to when I was in corporate America, and there would often be times where I would just lock my computer, and the place that I worked had a rooftop deck, and I would just go up there and just close my eyes and stand in the sun like this for, 5-10 minutes. Headphones on, feel the breeze across my face, and just allowing my breath to just do the work for me and just take the zipper in my brain and just unzip it, unwind it. And what I often found is that I came back to whatever I was working on, the task at hand, with a lot more clarity. I do that now as an entrepreneur. I get lost in the sheer volume of things I want to accomplish each day and the choreography and all the things I have to plan. But I like to take my iced coffee break. I like to walk around the block, walk down the neighborhood. Sometimes it's just something as simple as taking a break and going in the other room and just watching a few minutes of my favorite show. Something that's just taking my mind off of the task at hand, giving myself that break and letting me know that it's really not that serious. And at the end of the day, everything that needs to get done will get done. Another way that you can incorporate a routine into your way of life is to anchor it around the transitions of your day. So a lot of what I've talked about thus far is dealing with your morning routine, but you can think of your day in 3 time blocks. So morning, midday, and evening. And so what do you like to do in the morning to help get you started? I mentioned earlier taking my vitamins, having my morning devotion. What kind of works for you at midday? I personally love having a dedicated time where I can eat my lunch. I step away from my computer. I go in a different room. If I'm not at home, I definitely step away from whatever I'm working on and take the time to mindfully eat. If you haven't watched that video, you should. But mindfully eat, savor the moment, savor the food that I'm enjoying, read part of my book, again, watch part of a show, and then hit that reset button. And then the last time block you could think of would be your evening. So are there activities or are there things you can do when you get home at the end of the day to just let the day go? Take off your shoes, change into a completely different outfit. Is that the time when you like to get your movement in? Drink your water, drink your tea, journal, and then just sort of have that closing routine ritual that you'd like to do to wrap up your day. Lastly, I would say give yourself grace. It takes time to find a routine that works for you. So don't stress yourself out trying not to stress out. I know I myself am guilty of that, but take your time. Do it in bite-sized chunks. I just talked about anchoring around transition. So as you're building your routine and ultimately finding your rhythm, take time to work with each time block. Maybe for the first week, you work on what you do each morning. Then the next week, you work on incorporating what you do in the afternoon. And then the next week, you add in your evening routine. And by the end of the month, you hopefully will have created sustainable habits. So now it's less of, I must do this, and more of, this is a part of how I live my life every day. And now I feel more at peace. I have the balance, I have the joy, and I've got the rhythm in my life. So I hope these tips help you. I hope that you use September and maybe even October or just autumn in general as a time to tap into yourself, find the rhythm, find the routine, and ultimately create the balance, the peace, and the harmony that works for you. There's so much going on in the world right now. There's so many things that are happening outside of our control. So let's take a moment to take the reins and grasp what we can control, and that's that routine and ultimately your rhythm. Start with what energizes you, prioritize movement that you enjoy, build in those mental breaks, anchor around transitions, and ultimately give yourself grace. If you'd like assistance or help creating your routine, I am here for you. Visit my website, mymoveswithmelanie.com. Schedule your complimentary consultation. We can talk more about what routine would look like for you, what that rhythm would look like for you, and ultimately how we can work together to help you achieve your health and wellness goals. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back with more health and wellness tips very soon. Bye.